I am very excited to introduce another great HR leader who is also an energizer of organization performance and achievement. And I'm quite delighted to introduce Allison Kinney. She's the head of employee experience at Metropolis. And what I'm super excited about is she's going to provide us with some why. And you'll see the golden thread the whole way through. Just because I really don't want you to leave without knowing how important a partner your people and HR team really is. Allison, welcome.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. It's Friday. What's up? So happy to be here with all of you. I've had the chance to meet some of you, certainly not all of you, in the past 48 hours, but I hope you'll indulge me. I'll introduce myself just one more time. I'm the head of employee experience at Metropolis. I go by AK. I have had such an amazing experience here, and I cannot wait to reflect on all of this and how I'm going to take this back to Metropolis. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our journey, the journey that we're on, sort of our path as a business, as well as how we've approached our OKR's evolution. And first, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and how I ended up at Metropolis. 15 years ago, I moved to New York City without a job, no place to live. I just got in my car and went. I had a very, very specific goal in mind. And that goal was to become a professional DJ. And I dove right in to the hustle and the culture of New York. I was running around, meeting people, and I made this happen for myself. This was my one objective that I had. I was going to become a professional DJ, and that is what I did. For years, I was a full-time professional DJ. I was traveling around, I was partnering with brands, I had my residencies, and I had an amazing experience. This was something that was very near and dear to my heart. I formed my own company, and it was a dream life. But I did it. I checked the box. My bucket list was sort of complete. I did the thing that I set out to do. So what next? I wanted to try something new. With those dreams and goals achieved, I wanted to go and see what this whole corporate life was all about, and I ended up at a company called Warby Parker. And I'm still a fan, I'm still a customer. I actually DJ for them from time to time, which is really fun. I'll never stop doing it, I'm still out here. Hire me. So I went from Warby Parker, then to Rent the Runway, then to Metropolis. These are 3 companies acknowledged on the CNBC Disruptor 50 list. So a little something in common. What does this say about me? Probably something along the lines of I'm a little bit of a risk taker. I'll kind of go anywhere, try anything, do anything. I love trying new things. And even if I know that failure is going to be a part of the journey, I'm really comfortable with that. So I gravitate toward environments of change. And I'm going to be talking about change a lot today and what that means at Metropolis. And all of this is not unlike a dance floor. Things are moving and shifting, and I'm adapting, and I'm helping my teams to do that as much as I possibly can. So while these days I can still be found behind the turntables, it's balanced by a really fulfilling and exciting career at Metropolis. I'll always be a little bit of both, but that DJ career led me to doing something today that I never could have imagined before. So 10 years later, at a role, at a bunch of different roles, dynamic roles at different scale-ups and startups, I ended up at Metropolis. So that's my journey. Now I want to hear a little bit about you all, if that's okay. I have some questions, mostly hand raising, but if you want to talk to me, that's amazing too. Who here achieves every goal that they set for themselves? No? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, well, that's okay. Me neither. I achieved one really big one. That was really cool. But I've had a bunch of failures, don't worry. So let's talk about just this year, 2025. Who in January set a goal, or December 2024, if you're really crushing it, that is still relevant right now and that you feel is on track 9 to 10 months into the year? Yeah? Okay, good. How'd you do that? Determination. How'd you do that? Anybody?
Focus and plan.
Focus and plan. Maybe a little bit of data. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So I want to talk about that a little bit more. Goals. Let's think about goals for a second as performance. So let's think beyond ourselves and just think about performance generally. Raise your hand if you think that you are responsible for your team's performance. Yeah? Okay, amazing. Raise your hand if you think your employee is responsible for their own performance. Okay, you can raise your hand more than once. This is part of the game. Raise your hand if you think it's HR's responsibility. We can help, I promise. I'm going to talk about that. So all of these answers are true, and that's what I'm here to talk about. Performance culture as a collective responsibility. And that's inclusive of individual alignment. It goes all the way down to the individual level. And we have to do it together to get it right. And it can start here. It can start today. Some of you probably have already started on this journey, and I'm so excited to continue to get to know you all, both today and beyond today. So let's take a beat. Let's talk about Metropolis. Maybe some of you are Metropolis members. I know for a fact a couple of you are. But Metropolis is building checkout-free experiences through artificial intelligence. Ooh, AI, our favorite thing. Very highly relevant to all of us right now. But what this really means is that we apply computer vision technology to transactions in the real world, in your vehicle. And our mission is to create frictionless, seamless, checkout-free experiences everywhere, enabling a speed, ease, and convenience that is unparalleled, even online. We're reimagining the real world and making the everyday experience of living, working, and playing remarkable. Not just that, giving us back our most valuable asset, time. And we believe if we do this well, we can build a once-in-a-generation company that sets a new standard for how we experience our lives and the digital payment experience. So that's Metropolis in a nutshell. And we're actually really well on our way to doing this. We've started with the parking industry, and compared with traditional parking operators, we manage operations much more effectively. We reduce expenses, we eliminate revenue leakage, we drive incremental revenue through dynamic pricing. All of these things were really revolutionary stuff for parking. I'll tell our founding story another time and how we actually realized this was an opportunity for disruption. But compared with the poor experience of our competitors, we are digital. No cash, no paper, no ticket, no card. This is an industry that was previously untouched, and this is what we're out here working on today. So the result is something that's hassle-free, checkout-free, frictionless, all of the things that we want to experience in the world. And this is how it works. You drive in. It's your first time experiencing the Metropolis experience. Our computer vision technology clocks your vehicle. We read your license plate, but we also read unique identifiers of your vehicle. And we create a fingerprint that recognizes you so that you can transact with us anywhere you go at any Metropolis-operated location. If you haven't joined Metropolis, you join Metropolis. You become a member, easy. And then you just drive out. And every time after that, you drive in, you drive out. Time back in your day. This is good stuff. You can use that time to be thinking about your OKRs, but in the future, this should really just be seamless. And there are a number of milestones that have brought us to this current reality of we are doing this. And we've come really far, but there are really two themes that have made this possible. The first is technology. I was really inspired hearing from Joel Neeb and talking about being 6 months ahead of the curve, and we can all do better. I personally need to do better at that. So that's one thing. That's how we build our technology and our software and our hardware so that we have our competitive moat. But the second is acquisitional growth. And that's kind of where I come in. So I joined Metropolis at a time when we had just merged with a parking operator in the Southeast. We did this so we could expand the reach of our technology and grow our team. And at that time, the people team, where were we? We were in none of these buildings. We did not exist. We had a chief people officer, and I joined to be his chief of staff at the time. And that was my first HR role in my life. I had been doing all kinds of other fun stuff at Warby Parker, at Rent the Runway. So we just got right to work. We knew the destination. We knew we needed a lot of things. We knew we needed process. We knew we needed systems. We needed a team. So we set out to do those things. And just when we kind of had the hang of things were going well, people knew where to find stuff on the internet, we even had OKRs, we had a mic drop moment, and we announced our intention to acquire a 100-year-old public organization, SP Plus, another traditional parking operator. But this time the stakes were a little bit higher. We raised $1.8 billion to make it happen. This was last year. And we went from a 1,500 person organization to a 23,000 person organization overnight. Ooh boy, it's been fun. Throughout this change, I fell into the role of overseeing integration and all things people. So what does that mean? That means systems. That means data, change management, our favorite, organizational design, communications, training, policy, balloons, what color are they gonna be? These are the things that I was thinking about. And it all mattered. And didn't I just say that was my first HR role? Yeah, I did say that. So how did I know how to do all of this? Well, a couple different things. An amazing team that helps so much. We knew what we needed to do, so we were motivated. I also had an amazing mentor throughout all of this, but I had my own personal ownership mentality because I knew what that outcome needed to be, and I figured out how to do it. I had the free reins to figure out how to do it. That's kind of what Alexis and Jacqueline were just talking about. So now I'm gonna find a moment to make my DJ career relevant. It's happening now, get ready. And I'm used to solving problems. I'm used to being in a room on the fly. I've had the power go out while I'm DJing for members of the royal family. I'm cool under pressure. So when it comes to figuring out what 23,000 people need to know and where they work, all of a sudden, one day later, I just find a way, and I rally people around me to do that. So since closing the deal last year, we now operate in over 300 cities, and we just landed our 18 millionth member on platform. It's not quite ChatGPT levels of scale, but we're on our way, and a new member joins Metropolis every 3 seconds. Internally, on top of that, we are changing all the time. We celebrate talent at Metropolis. We've hired a number of new executives over this past year as well. We really walk the walk of internal mobility, which is what led me into my newer role, overseeing employee experience. After getting a taste of all things HR, I was like, I think I like this stuff over here. I'm gonna do L&D, workplace, and of course, talent management. So what does that mean? It means all things performance. And I'm excited to stay in touch with you all to hear how you're thinking about this at the companies that you lead, because I think it's really different everywhere. It's not one size fits all, but I'm gonna keep telling you a little bit about how we're doing this. So we've gone through this significant transformation externally that goes beyond the change I just described. And we've built this incredible product so far, but we have lofty goals to go even further. We're not satisfied. Like, great, 18 million members, what else can we do? So here's how we're transforming. Metropolis 1.0, this is kind of where we are right now. We developed the best product in the market. We deployed it to all these locations. We got our membership base established. Boom, we became the largest parking company in North America. Metropolis 2.0, we're starting to drive behavioral preference for that remarkable experience that we provide. And if we can do that, we can earn loyalty. If we earn loyalty, that drives traffic, that drives revenue, our bottom line is starting to percolate, and that opens the door for Metropolis 3.0, where we then expand our product into brand new verticals, things that we can hardly even imagine right now. But think about outside of the vehicle, seamless experiences in hospitality, retail, talk about the real world. This is differentiation. This is decommoditization. So soon we could be running multiple categories across cities everywhere. We're starting this at the fuel pump right now. We're prototyping. And Metropolis could become just an essential part of daily life. Whoa, this is exciting. So pretty simple recipe, right? We kind of know what we need to do. We need to make this journey happen. Okay, great. We have a few things to overcome, actually, to make this possible. So that journey from 1,500 to 23,000 employees was not easy. And to understand this mission and have this really resonate has come with challenges, and actually integrating those disparate organizations and the things that matter, as well as the tools and people and data that really drive it all. One thing we know for sure is that we need to become member obsessed. That's our golden thread. That's something we can all start to relate back to, and I love that that was part of the GHX story as well. And if we make decisions through that lens, that's something we can all rally around and find relevance in. So in my role overseeing EX, employee experience, I think about that as a multiplier. A best-in-class and unique employee experience has the potential to contribute to service excellence. And that service excellence directly correlates to member experience, what our members are seeing and experiencing in the field. So when I explain that across all different levels, there's a story to be told about building this incredible, unique employee experience that then influences our bottom line. And I can tell that story, that employees who have a good experience and understand how their role relates back to the company mission, there's something to that, and we can actually understand our own personal and unique role clarity. So that is a little bit of my role in shaping the future of Metropolis, but we're talking now about transforming our business by transforming our culture, and that's something that we all have to do together to build a best-in-class organization. So outside of our process of OKRs and setting them, we have some challenges to overcome. And a lot of this has to come with acquisitional growth, but I think some of these things probably will relate to you all as well. We've got missed goals, we've got misaligned initiatives, we have managers flying blind, our data is kind of everywhere right now. That's something I'm very passionate about at the moment, and leaders are not invested. And on top of that, we have real world complexity for a business that's something that never existed previously. This is like, record scratch moment, like, this is a lot. What are we gonna do? But I've had a lot of comfort in the past couple of days. I know I'm not alone, and I know that these are not the only problems that companies like Metropolis face. It might be fair to say that some of us have worked for companies that only set goals that were top down, or only set goals and never revisited them again to see if they were still relevant, that set and forget. So for those of you who set your goals earlier this year, some of you all that still feel like they're the right ones and they're right-sized for company priorities, that's an incredible accomplishment. That takes work to do well. And translating performance expectations across all levels and languages is also something that takes work to do well, especially during times of change. So these are just a few things that we need to tackle to get this right and to begin to build the performance culture that we need to scale successfully, because becoming that high-performing company isn't something that's going to happen overnight. We know that, we acknowledge that, and I think it's okay to say that. And we had a new CFO join earlier this year. I was very excited to connect with him. I'm like, okay, how's the P&L process gonna feed in? We're gonna do all this, great. And I explained the challenges. And he said, okay, amazing, we can do this, but this is big. We're talking about changing culture. We're talking about changing the culture of Metropolis. Whoa, this is big. And that's exactly what we're doing, and we're committed to doing that. We are transforming, but we all have to get it right. We all have to know where we need to go, row the boat in the same direction. It's out of necessity, but that doesn't make it easy or a guarantee that everyone will get on board right away. We're talking about change management again, so his next question is, what can we do to help on the finance side? Well, my finance people, I'm sure you're in here, pay people, that will be great, and we can work with you to figure out why and how, and I think OKRs are a component of that. And outsized performance should lead to outsized reward. There's a secret sauce in there somewhere for how that comes to be, and I think that we can all figure it out together. So let's translate these challenges into opportunities for resolution. This is where I'm going to start talking about WorkBoard. And we're new. On our WorkBoard journey, we're very new. We're currently in the pilot phase. I'm so excited. I've actually never been more excited to bring something online at Metropolis. But these are the things I think that we can start to do and start to do really soon. A year ago today, we were using spreadsheets to do our OKRs. And if we needed another team's help, we were tagging somebody. We were putting a little comment and saying, hey, you got anybody for me here? And that was our cross-functional diligence. It was not very successful. And then we're sitting in rooms or over Zoom. We're reading our key results line by line by line, debating them all together. I think that's healthy, but I was on Zoom a lot. I'm already on Zoom a lot. And there are better ways of doing this at scale. I'm sure some of you can relate. We're an AI company, but we weren't using AI at all. And we're just starting out on our journey. So we're on this path now that could enable us with predictive insights, automation, real-time data for business leaders. That's powerful stuff. And a process on top of that that might even be a little bit fun. And people might actually enjoy this. So I think with WorkBoard, all of that can be possible. And we're all likely here because we believe in that investment. But tools alone don't build the culture. Tools are great, and we love tools, and we're going to continue to have amazing ones. And the right ones remove friction and amplify the possible. But it's a little bit of a chicken or egg question. Is it the tool, or is it the mindset? And at Metropolis, we actually have to change both. Both of those things are part of the problem and the challenge that we have to overcome. The tools have to go hand in hand with the leadership culture, and that culture has to value clarity, feedback, and accountability. That mindset shift is the journey that we are on right now. We need to disrupt ourselves and get comfortable being uncomfortable. So if we do that, I think the result is a process that goes beyond being compulsory. I like to joke all requirements lead to me. It's like, okay, here's your email, time to do the thing. We need to build something that is compelling. And we do that by starting to establish role clarity and strategic clarity for people. So leaders, that's you all. When I got started, I asked who of you thought you're responsible for the performance on your team. The answer is yes, and leaders are responsible, but you're not on your own. But here are a few places to start. I want to talk about establishing that context for your teams, talking about that golden thread and taking a page out of Alexis's book. It's like we should have coordinated this, honestly. I feel like we're really aligned and talking about HBR and everything. So when employees see how their work supports the organization's goals, performance can improve by over 20%, maybe even greater than that. A leader's job goes beyond just delegation, motivation, strategic planning. Those are all really essential things that need to continue, and I'm sure you do them well. But you need to tell a story that builds relevance and engagement at the individual level so that your employees stick around and they know what they're building because they can see that their work is contributing to that mission and to that vision. They're going to work harder because they can visualize how what they do every day influences the business outcome. So I just talked about my role in employee experience, like, woo, yeah, we're ordering balloons from time to time, but how does that go all the way to our bottom line? I believe that there is a story to be told there about driving irrefutable value for Metropolis, and that's something that I really believe in, and something I also hope I'm gonna be measuring with data in 2026, so when I see you at Accelerate next year, you ask me about that, ask me how it's going. And in the meantime, we're developing leaders to give better feedback, model clarity, reinforce priorities, embrace ownership, and start to build those muscles as leaders that we all need, especially at Metropolis where people are managing people for the first time because of this change that we've been through. But building that context is the most important key to get right. And at the same time, we're building a process where that feedback is normalized, it's ritualized, it's expected, and performance is tied to those outputs and not just to feelings. And goals are set collaboratively, and we revisit them, and we talk about them often, and we have a place to go and review them together. So we create a space for leadership development, and we're gonna try to build this culture, but all of this needs to fall under the guise of transparency. We have to set our sights on where we wanna go, and we have to be willing to acknowledge when we're off track. It's one thing to know where we're going. It's another thing to say, okay, we took a left turn here somewhere, and why did that happen? But if we can see around corners, we can get back on track. Or we can decide, that we would have been on that track now. We want to do gas, not parking, right? We can acknowledge that together if we can start seeing around corners. So that was some food for thought for the people wondering if performance is the leader's responsibility. Let's talk about all of the other things that tie into that responsibility and sort of who can own what. So when done right, performance has the potential to become a shared language. All of these are aspects of a shared language, especially at Metropolis. So not just an HR metric. I'm on the people team, but I think we can build this together. And that language needs to start with our values. Our values are the thing that we can all relate back to. We all need to relate back to the strategy and the mission and the vision of the organization, but those values are how we start to shape a differentiated culture that we can really lean into. And we were talking over the past couple of days about personalizing your processes so that they start to feed in those values. I can't wait for when we're going to be able to upload our brand book into WorkBoard and have the AI agents talk to us like they are Metropolites. This is how large-scale components and OKRs and total rewards layered on top of that foundation. This is a little Maslow's hierarchy of needs situation. The values down here, I gotta get those right first, right? Those studies show that I talked about that employees go that extra mile when they can relate to company values. So now if you can demonstrate what growth and development all the way up there, the tippy top, is possible, if employees take ownership over their performance all the way through the pyramid, that shift is emotional. And that relates back to our values. So those values lend themselves to competencies. That's something that we do, is build competencies around our values so that they can be applied everywhere and feel really global and relatable at the individual level, the team level. And then even more stakeholders are starting to get involved in performance. They're starting to get it. And then when we get into OKRs or whatever mechanism you're using, performance starts to become the employee's responsibility or the team's responsibility, or all of these different things that you really do need to drive clarity around. And then total rewards, our finance people come through. We're here to help. Like, HR wants to partner with you to make total rewards happen. And finally, performance becomes a partnership when we talk about growth and development. Employees should take ownership over what they want out of their career trajectory. They should see the options available to them. Leaders should support them, and HR should enable that with programs and with strategy. So that's something that I'm thinking about as well. Ultimately, all of these factors have the potential to power a high-performing organization at every level. And you all, as leaders, you don't just own the outcomes, you shape the conditions, you shape the environment in which all of this is happening and propagating. So here they are. These are some conditions to think about. So tomorrow, you can ask yourself, what culture am I reinforcing? And is that intentional or not? And then you can lean into feedback, development, and reward. So how does this play out? Role and strategic clarity, that's what we're going to talk about next. And how do we know we're on track to getting it right? 10 years ago, when I was a DJ, I had really clear KPIs. I knew when things were going well. I could tell by the number of people on the dance floor, how long had they been out there, how long did it take to reach max capacity, how many one last songs did I hear at the end of the night. So part of me getting to role clarity and strategic clarity was knowing my performance indicators and making them transparent and owning them myself and committing to them. And a little bit of skill and instinct. So when I was off track, I used data, I used my observational data to help inform those decisions and know when a pivot was needed. So if I saw someone on their way off the dance floor, but earlier in the night, they were nodding their head along to Beyonce, I'm like, okay, I've got another Beyonce in me, I think. I'm gonna weave it in right now so that person stays. So my willingness to change and pivot and adapt and cater to very specific scenarios or people, and then understand what's really important to the business, my business, but also now Metropolis. Not be afraid to make a few mistakes to figure that out. That's all tied to my role clarity and how I approach my everyday decision making and the things that matter and knowing what those things are. So at Metropolis, we specifically use objectives and key results to drive that unified vision at every level. This is our forcing mechanism, if you will, to define the destination. The journey to get there, that can really vary, but to define the destination, that's the key, and help us measure progress along the way and clarify how we each individually as humans play a part in the path to Metropolis 2.0, 3.0, and beyond, because it will take all of us to bring about the transformation. So you first need to know what we're aiming for and why. You need to know our North Star and vision by heart. And that's one of those things that, communicating at scale can be really challenging. You have to keep calling back. You can't just do that one time. And you need to know what the strategy looks like. You need to know how all of those things individually start to interact with each other. And then our culture, of course, starts to be woven in. And then we're setting our OKRs together at the company level, at the executive level, at the individual level. Okay, great, now I know how I can advance our company objectives, and those all ladder up to what we're delivering for our members. Then the secret sauce here is not just knowing what we need to do, but how we should do it. And that's the behavioral stuff. So how this comes into play from a cultural standpoint, from a value standpoint, how we talk to each other, how we reward each other, how we acknowledge, what's that kind of interaction, the day-to-day, and then the what's in it for me, how performance gets evaluated. And every individual needs to understand how their work can contribute to that success, which means scaling all the way to the front lines. You use language, use values to do that. And as we know, the managers who are demonstrating the acumen up here at the top and communicating that on a day-to-day basis, they're driving that transparency, and they have the most highly engaged team members. So this is a little roadmap. So OKRs, driving quality work, great. And Metropolis, we're taking this even one step further. We have our company level OKRs, and some of them are about performance culture. We've decided to be really open about the fact that we know we need to improve here. We know that we need tools and programs that can help us get to that next level, and we're owning that. So every company who probably has HR goals or things that they're working on, you have to name it to tame it. Put that on the board. Talk about that at your town halls and at your steering committees and say, hey, here's how we're showing up to help you all do your best work and to get the business to where it needs to go. Very public forums at Metropolis right now, so we have to get this right. And folks know what we're up to. So one way that we walk the walk is that we lean into a best-in-class culture measurement tool called the Organizational Health Index. If you're familiar with it, very cool. If you're not, we'd love to talk to you about it. But this helps us understand trends and opportunities. Culture is certainly not something that's one size fits all, and you cannot do all of the things to just have a magical, perfect culture come out of nowhere and everyone is performing and they're getting it and they feel like metropolites. So we talk about a few components each year and foundational things that we think could really move the needle, and we identify those things using OHI. And that's empowered us to prioritize these couple of areas that you see here on the left. So strategic clarity, role clarity, personal ownership, and talent are the 4 power practices that we identified over the past year. These kind of all seem like they are talking about OKRs, right? Like this is something that we can now see, hey, we need these things. We're on a path to maybe getting them right. How can they actually come across is in our performance culture. So we have a few tactics that I thought it might be helpful to share. I'm gonna bring some HR lingo to the conversation because I'm sure you've all been waiting for me to say HR is also somewhat responsible for performance. Leaders, yes, it's you. Employees, yes, it's you. But HR, we really are here to help. And at a high level, we start by defining what success looks like. So at Metropolis, we know that our company objectives are non-negotiable. We must hit our revenue targets. We must hit our EBITDA targets. And the things that we say we're going to do must happen. And on top of that, the individual objectives also need to happen. And we have a new way of thinking about this that is individually, we have individual OKRs. That's what we lean into. Team OKRs coming to a stage near you in 2026 via WorkBoard. We ask that employees achieve 70% of their key results at 100%. 70% at 100%. So for me, DJ AK, that means 7 out of the 10 songs I'm playing are absolute bangers and the dance floor is packed. What if all 10 songs are a hit? Then what? That's that outsized reward opportunity that I was talking about. That's like maximum dance floor energy. Maybe I'm gonna get a tip at the end of the night. You know, that's exciting. And I kind of know, okay, that's what it means to go above and beyond. And so OKRs are just one component, I think, of being a performance indicator at the individual level. We also look for all of these things. We look for business impact. We look for people who are really team players and people who are also raising the bar, because we can't just do that for you. We can't say, you know, there's the fence, go meet it, go beyond it. We want you to do that too and bring your colleagues along on the journey. So these are some of the things that we look to do and that we seek to do through our talent strategy. And then when we calibrate our talent, we're asking questions that go beyond performance on paper. We have the data, but we want to understand who is motivated and who is ready for that next level. And we're not afraid to promote someone a little bit early because we're starting to see some of these indicators. And if we take big swings in our business the way that we do, we need to take big swings on our people too, right? So between managers and employees, we also look for continued dialogue, and we try to foster that, equip managers with tools to do that, partnership, advocacy, all of those things. And HR is here to help foster those things. But we need to move beyond this outdated or static rubric mindset, performance reviews of the past. In the future, this should be real time. We should be able to do this anytime versus waiting for the update. Right now, we log our OKR's progress 30 days after the previous month closed, because that's how long it takes for us to get our data. So imagine a world when we can move away from that, and on a basic level, we can ask ourselves, do we know what matters, and are we working on the right things today, right now, and how do we know that? And how do we have those conversations? So that is the dialogue that we need to start leaning into, and that we're on that journey right now at Metropolis, so we can power those one-on-ones and continual feedback. And guess what? WorkBoard is going to help us do that. That's so amazing. And then also make space for employees who make it known that they're ready for that next opportunity or project or role. And they see that key result. It's transparent. They're like, I think I can help with that. I think I want to learn how to do that. And then we're like, yes, go do that. Go be a DJ, we got you. So it's worth saying, you're not alone. If you work with an HR people team, I encourage you to move beyond just viewing us as kind of a requirement or policy or enforcer organization. Involve us as your trusted performance partner. It's like, Deidre, you stole the words out of my mouth. That's exactly what I was going to say. We're here to help, and I hope that you're already getting some of that help. But even without an HR team, these are some HR concepts that you might be able to translate and weave into your practices and leadership style. Just a few examples and a roadmap for course correction. So, if misaligned goals are leading to wasted effort, then you have goal alignment, right? And that can drive the magic combination of strategic clarity and role clarity, those things that we're always striving for. And if poor conversations are leading to disengagement or attrition, start building those intentional feedback loops and continuous coaching, and invest in that so that we can breed a growth and loyalty mindset. So these are just a few things that you may be able to incorporate, and if not, then call me and we'll figure it out together. So with that said, there are a number of ways to make change, and that can start small. These are just a few foods for thought, and I'd be happy to continue chatting with any of you. But getting performance culture right at Metropolis is not something that's just a nice to have. It's something that's really mission critical if we're going to get to Metropolis 2.0 and 3.0. And I hope you all can kind of feel that in your own way. And it doesn't happen overnight, and it's not going to happen alone either. So my call to action for you all is to lead like performance is everyone's responsibility. It's everyone's business. It is, right? And leaders must grow and model it. The people team can help, and your employees will get brought along on that journey, and maybe they're even going to start to lead that change themselves. But it must scale across every corner of the organization. You can start small by connecting that golden thread, bringing strategy into the conversation, making those conversations real, not just ritual, and building and investing in systems that scale and serve the people in them. So I'll leave you with this. The next time you're interviewing a candidate with a non-traditional background, maybe they were a DJ in a past life, let them surprise you. I'm going to call it back to the Brené Brown quote, "The future requires heart." And you never know where that next idea is going to come from that propels your business forward. And the one thing I've learned is there's room for everyone on the dance floor. So I hope to see you there. Thank you.